Hello, everyone, and welcome to me kind of watching a guy who covered a thing today, and I mean yesterday, and that's about it. This is Bearing. He's an Australian furry who pretends to not be a furry, but look, I'm just gonna get real with you. If there's an animal avatar, they're a furry. Now he's not as involved in the fandom as Rags or any of that crowd are. Definitely not as involved as Rags. I don't know if you know, Rags, I've already covered, is actually a fucking horrendous piece of shit. And I don't just mean like, he's annoying, I mean, or mean, right? I mean, Bearing's annoying and mean, but like in a good way, right? Which we'll cover soon. Um, but yeah, Rags is a diddly doodah dumbass, who is part of a cult of zoophiles and pedophiles, which was basically spearheaded by hypnotist Sappho, Jason Effects, and Kira the Wolf, and a few others, right? It's basically for those who want to like get the rundown. Jason Grant or Jason Effects, um, like basically was like the boss of a game dev team, but also it turns out that this game dev team was a zoophile game dev team. So like you had people like Samuel Clark or Zella DKD and you had Twitchy animation and stuff like that on there, right? And basically everyone there was an open zoophile in different capacities. Samuel Clark, or Zealot Kitty, as I mentioned, was the only one who was so open. He would tell everyone in his Discord for a while. He was one of the people who used the Zeta symbol openly on Discord. Um, this was actually before I met him because I unfortunately had the unfortunate rundown of meeting him when he was pretending to be a repentant zoophile, I guess. And really, I was always uncomfortable whenever he would bring this up. It made it fairly clear, right? But he would constantly fucking bring it up. Uh, to like everyone, right? And I didn't actually understand that that was a groomer tactic at the time, but it was. It was basically he wanted to groom me into accepting that he was a dog fucking piece of shit. That's what Samuel Clark did. That the 3D artist and what that everyone simps for, because he's kind of quick. Like yeah, that's Samuel Clark. Um, yeah, that's LD Kitty right there. Okay. And this guy was like just an immense fucking zoophile. But like everywhere he went, there were like the hypnotist Sapphos and all that. And like my first like bit of red flag was that Rags was hanging around that crowd, obviously. Which is why I never really liked the Mueller fucking EFAP bullshit. Like, I remember liking classic Mueller, but as soon as like I started doing EFAP, I started like really not liking that guy, and now I like legit know why. Yeah. Turns out if you go on like Kiwi forums, you can kind of like see a little bit of the picture, but still nowhere near as deep as the Rags rabbit hole really goes. So Bearing is kind of fun, like he's actually basically like, what if Rags didn't fuck dogs? And that's what Bearing is, you know, furry who pretends not to be a furry, but we all know, come on, man, you're not fooling anyone. But unlike Rags, doesn't fuck dogs. He just jacks off to Yif and is a funny haha Australian man who makes fun of like the far left and occasionally the far right. It's been a while since he made fun of the far right, but he does like when they um, basically do the same authoritarian bullshit that the far left does. Remember, he's also Australian, so like a lot of it especially as the far left. You get some of that localized far rightness here in America, but really, in Australia, it's all far leftism. That's the problem right now. The far right is not really that big of a threat in the U.S. Like, what is it like? The Heritage Foundation and like a couple fucking dweebs, like that you see like running mega churches that are like really popular mega churches out of nowhere, kind of like how like Hollywood pedophiles come out of nowhere being mega popular and having so many connect. It's like you like what I want to know is like how do people like Epstein get so many connections? Like for this, I want to know what Epstein did. Right, he was a tutor. Like he was literally just a tutor for some rich guys, right? But like he apparently like blew up to be a mega star tutor for these guys, and really like that's why like he was able to get like a bunch of dirt and shit with his little sex cult is because like he like taught a lot of people's kids something or something. Apparently like he was always teaching male kids, but like he literally was a straight pedophile. Apparently like that was like the whole thing with Jeffrey Epstein. He liked little girls, but he would always teach little boys as like a cover. Like it was so weird like when I actually like figured out how that dude fucking operated. But yeah, Jeffrey Epstein obviously was a humongous piece of shit, who may or may not have killed himself, but regardless, the world is better off without him. Um, Honestly think what I think is he didn't kill himself, but it wasn't as big of a conspiracy as people think. I think what happened, because let's face it, we all know what happens to Chomos in prison. Yeah, like one of the prisoners who actually just is just a regular like Joe Schmo who hates fucking pedophiles, right? Um, kind of like saw that this guy wasn't showing his papers, and then he recognized him from the TV because there's a bunch of like photographs with him and stuff, and so he knew this guy was like a mega pedo. So he just killed him. Right, like that, like he probably like bribed some of the guards, like give me like 5 minutes with the guy, and he just broke his neck and killed him, made it look like an accident or a suicide. Well, like this happens all the time in prisons. There's no real need to conspiracize over like literal normal prison thing, right? It's the most normal prison thing ever. I don't really know why everyone's like doing mega conspiracy theories about like literally the most normal prison thing you've ever heard, right? Well, like people act like that was strange. Like, no, it really wasn't. This happens all the fucking time to every fucking chomo, and not always chomos, but like if you are chomo, which is of course like a prison like term for pedophile, yeah, yeah, you're gonna get got, right? Like, well, like there's a reason why like everyone comes out of prison like regardless. Some racial supremacists, by the way, too. And a lot of it is like that's how you like kind of group up to survive. Like if you wanna, like not be like anally raped, Tom, whatever would send all the black people in Boondocks to be. And then he would people, and then the booty warrior, the literal booty warrior, would attempt to, but wouldn't actually make any headway. Remember, like it was like Boondocks was so fucking good. Like I kind of hate that season 4 happened and it sucked so much that they had to kill the show. But yeah, let's watch this video though.
TQIA plus
Right.
loved.
So yeah, this is I don't know, Don Lemon, a fucking Holly weird retard. And yeah,
Connecting
see,
with
like
all.
what happened was basically like there were 3 exoduses. He's not talking about the big exodus that actually was kind of important, which was the porn artist exodus. Not all of them were lefties either. The thing about the reason why that happened, for those who are wondering, is yeah, they actually can't stay on Twitter. Like the reason like why most people are on Twitter cannot stay on Twitter when there's no functional block button. Like it actually would be illegal for the porn artist to stay on Twitter. And so like they have to go somewhere. and Bluesky was like what people were recommending. It's not a good platform, but then again, neither really was Twitter. Really, what it turns out is they should just go back to fucking Pixiv and for offending and shit, right? Well, let's face it, they should not be on Twitter, because you can't really be on Twitter, right? It's a normie site, but the thing is, you don't really want to go all on Pixiv and FA and all that for this particular reason, and that is FA sucks. Like Pixiv is actually like a decent site, but FA sucks. But also, more importantly, turns out like the main like meat and potatoes reason of why like you don't want to go to like that system either is like you put all your eggs back in one basket. Like porn artists are basically like weird because like they're the economy of a lot of sites, but also all the sites hate that they're the economy of their site. But then they get rid of them, and then their site goes like bankrupt instantly, because as it turns out, like the entire reason for like anything there is that people jack off to porn. Like the reason why Twitter is so big and so popular and so active is that people are going there to jack off to porn. You get rid of the porn, 90% of like the people who like do the haha dumb shit right after jacking off go away as well. And the problem is that like it doesn't like I always say, right? Imagine if N Wokeness had nobody to trigger with his insane retarded posts. He would have to trigger the right now, and it's not that it's harder. I mean, it's pretty easy to do that. But he'd have to trigger like his own base in order to have any content to survive, and that really like whittles down his like popularity instantly. And so it kind of sucks, right? But like Twitter will die if they kill porn. And they might have just done it by like removing like the actual functional part of the block button. Like that's actually the thing. They need it so the block button prevents you from the person who's blocked from actually being able to see it, because they need to be able to prevent children from seeing porn on Twitter. And this is the big like problem with like block just being glorified mute now, is that mute doesn't prevent the person you mute from seeing your post, right? And that's like if you're like some deranged leftist like Steve Shives, great. And then it makes it even easier because now they don't even know that they're like muted, right? So like with Steve Shives, that kind of like is like great for him. Like, if you don't know, Steve Shives was like a notorious blocker, but when you're a porn artist, it's not good enough. The problem is porn artists are literally the reason why like most of the insane crowd that drives the site is on there. So you get rid of that, 90% of the user base drops. You get 50 million instead of 550 million, right? Like 55 million instead of 550 million, right? And the problem with that is that that's not enough to sustain the site. And it also will be advertiser free still, because it'll still just be like Confucius philosophy being the only one able to trigger people now. And for those that don't know, Confucius philosophy is a notorious ban evader. He's literally every fucking like couple days I see that motherfucker banned, and then make a new account and get like back again. Like Elon does not like Confucius philosophy because it literally is like just a fucking can't. Like all he does is like say Hitler was right, my guys, and just trigger like everyone, like the left and the right, because no one fucking likes that piece of shit, right? And like that's all he does all day is just be an obnoxious fucking loser. Like at least N wokeness is also an obnoxious fucking loser. But at least N wokeness isn't like pissing everyone off. But like that's why I'm saying like N wokeness would fucking die, whereas like Confucius philosophy would thrive in that like post porn environment, because now like all the insane left retards would be gone from Twitter. But then like what will happen is who will Jack Sobek trigger now? He can't because you're gone, right? And if he can't trigger anyone, then a lot of his memes lose punch because his memes aren't funny on their own. They're funny because of the reaction insane lefties have to them, right? But if they're no longer there, like you're just throwing insults to the table and no one is acknowledging your existence. And so your attempt to troll really has no value anymore because you're not pissing people off because you're not seeing it. And so now you die as a content creator because now you can't piss off people by doing your rhetoric, and so like you just like go away, right? Or you have to like make like actual good content that's positive for someone instead of just negative against it. Like this is the problem with like Twitter really like becoming like a troll haven, like even more than it was because it was always a troll haven. It's just like it was slightly less so. Is literally like you can only sustain that for so long, and like you might think, oh, the porn artists are not the like they are the lifeline. Like literally, Elon Musk is a lolicon for fag himself, right? Like he's not like as degenerate as like Rags in that he wants to fuck his own dog. He got something for femboy mice and like Astolfo and of course like a bunch of lolly characters as well. Obviously, he's just your standard like right wing your standard right wing like anime fan. Basically like he's like your Rev says Des and like your Kirsch's and stuff like that. Like your VTuber guy, right? That's your Elon Musk, right? He's the VTuber guy, right? The guy who's into VTubers, not the guy who does VTubing, but like that kind of guy, right? So that's Elon Musk, and he owns a site. But like you're gonna kill your VTuber like fans like waifus now, Elon, and that's kind of like the issue. He no longer has his VTuber waifus. I wonder, like, it'd be kind of funny if, like, after killing porn a couple months later, Elon leaves the site, because then he'd be like, wait, yeah, I just literally killed, like, the only thing of value on this site. Because that was always the only thing of value, just so you're wondering, is the porn. Like, once you get rid of the porn, Twitter dies. It's just inevitable because it's literally only got big because of the Tumblr exodus, and the Tumblr exodus, of course, brought a lot of insane lefties, which also drove up like the troll traffic, right? Because it's easy to troll insane lefties, but it also it brought the porn because like the porn was like the reason the insane lefties were there in the first place. Not all the porn artists were insane lefties, but all of the insane lefties consumed the porn from the porn artists. And so what it came down to is you could easily troll them now, and it was like instantaneous. So it's very good. But like when you get rid of the porn, you get rid of that. And when you get rid of that, the site like goes back to pre 2015 era Twitter traffic, which for those who don't know how like bad that was like a couple like celebs like sharing like things that they said while they were on the toilet, and that was basically it. Like a business might like do a corpo ad bullshit, and that would be it. Like none of like the cool shit about Twitter would have been possible at that state. This is why like Elon is doing good business until you realize where it inevitably ends, and then you realize it's actually fucking retarded. Especially like knowing what he likes and stuff. It's literally just gonna be the death of both the site and like the fucking anime waifus he wants to fuck. And it's crazy that Elon is actually like not seeing that, but yeah, yeah. Bluesky is literally like a fucking band-aid for the problem though. Like the problem is it's eventually all gonna die regardless, right? Like if like you can't sustain Bluesky or Twitter, like you can't really sustain any of this really, to be fair. But like what I'm saying with like porn artists is like they're the pretty much the most resilient group online as well. Every payment processor in the world, including some crypto ones, are against porn artists, yet they still make so much money, right? Like if you go like look up like all of the fucking payment, like they've been against porn artists for fucking over a decade and a half, even though every porn artist uses their stuff for money. And like it's just porn artists just find ways around it, like to skirt it all the time, right? And like it's just they always find new ways to skirt around it, and so it ends up like people who hate porn artists just realize, wait, 90% of our fucking traffic is porn, right? Like, and then like they start doing another ban wave, and then like it still like always ends up 90% of their traffic it becomes porn again. It's just now there's more layers between them and the porn selling, I guess, so it takes them longer to realize it. But yeah, literally 90% of the people who use PayPal or MasterCard or Visa are porn artists. But PayPal and Visa, MasterCard, all that, they hate that. They hate that. These are like actual insane right wingers, and they hate that this is like what their like cards are being used for. So they try to ban it at every single time it is. This is like these are the guys that also like these are the insane fucking Catholic fucktards that will literally attack like Pixiv and shit and like lie to the Japanese government in front of their faces on like what's going on in like their country. And then like like a good way to say it, right? Russia literally was like banned from a lot of payment processors, including PayPal, right? You know what porn artists did? They made like a site. I'm not gonna say the name of the site, because loose lips sink ships. But they made a site which is literally like a exchange that is like an intermediate exchange that allows you to pay with PayPal, convert it on their site, and then give it to the artist. It's like literally porn artists are the most like literally like the most like fucking oppressed minority, and also the most resilient because of it. Like we're like only like gamers and weebs can fucking come close, and even then neither group really makes it all the way, right? Yeah, porn artists are like fucking like giga chads. But like all the like Twitter's kind of killing that kind of from their platform. And so what'll happen is just eventually like they figure out, well, Bluesky's shit too. So what'll happen is they figure out, well, eventually we just got to have like someone making their own thing, right? So that's really what like it boils down to. And this guy, Don Lemon, is a fucking moron, right? Like he doesn't make furry porn. He makes propaganda on how to be a worthless human being in society. So that's Don Lemon.
All of you on Twitter and then on X for all of these years. But it's time for me to leave the platform. I once believed that it was a place for honest debate and discussion, but it's time for me to leave the platform.
I mean, it never was. I don't know why you would believe that. It was a place to troll fucking insane people and fap the porn, and then realize that like the only reason those insane people are there is because of the porn, which is kind of like a little fun little bit. But like that's why you kind of want the porn there. If you're anti-porn and you're pro-X, you need to fucking like kill yourself and for like being a brain dead fucking retard, right? You cannot be both pro like the trolling part of X and anti-porn and function in society. Like you are literally spitting in God's face with that lack of brain cells. Like God gave you these brain cells and you refuse to use them. You spit in God's face with that piece of shit take. You know what I mean?
So take your steak hooker wife and get the fuck out of here!
Yeah, it's fucking boo-hoo.
Yeah. But no, she's making some money. I don't really know why she's crying. got plenty of stuff. Oh, this girl.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Don Lemon, Stephen King, Barbara Streisand, Elton John, Shonda Rhimes, Whoopi Goldberg, Lizzo, The Guardian, and a bunch of other retards.
Well, Stephen King was always a pedophile. I'm not really sure why we need evidence of him. He literally gave us the evidence with one of his first big hits. Literally it has a sex assault scene. Well, not really sex assault. It's not depicted like that. It's literally child porn. It's literally just straight up we're fucking for empowerment, and we're literally 4 or well, not 4, 12, right? This is in the movies, that how they all promise to band together and shit after defeating Pennywise the first time, and then they just become adults, and one of the dudes commit suicide and shit. Well, yeah, that's how it goes in the movies adaptations. In the book, when they do that whole empowerment circle, right after the fucking chick gets the right idea that they all need to fuck each other to make sure that their bonds are, it is crazy. And it is the writings of a deranged pedophile, right? I'm not saying it's illegal pedophilia. Obviously, that's the pram is technically writing flash fiction is a thing teenage girls do too. So it's literally should we arrest every fucking teenager who's ever written anything in their lives, because it's literally what they all write, right? Shout out if you remember being a 13-year-old in middle school, or a 14, 15-year-old in high school, being a guy who drew furries, anime and stuff, or wrote stuff, right? And you remember all the porn you just made, because that was what you were interested in, even though you will pretend that that's not what you were interested in at that, that's what you were interested in at age. Don't fucking lie. That's literally every creative person when they're 15. It's weird, right? That's the thing is, right? You have to remember this, right? That's okay. What's not okay is adults getting involved in that, right? In any pro that sense, right? It's sort of everyone remembers in the 70s, everyone memed on the fact that kids would literally break into their parents a porn stash. That was a thing that always happened back then. Kids were always fucking horny little goblins, but the thing is, being horny little goblins isn't the problem, right? The problem is when adults are horny little goblins to the kids, right? The kids will always be the horny little goblins at that age. But if adults get involved in that, they're fucking pedophiles and need to fucking die, right? That's just how it goes, right? Admitting that I know how reality works, how hormones work, and when they tend to start to that's just knowing fucking basic biology at this point. The teenagers are hormonal because that's when their gametes start growing and stuff like that. So, it's literally just a product of biology, right? But that's beside the point. That's when your that's literally when your chromosomes activate and you start really getting into the you are perpetually X and Y and stuff, right? Now fetishes are developed earlier, which is kind of funny. Fetishes are developed before your hormones, and it's basically an association of something with pleasure that's not sex. I don't know why that is a thing, but that's prepubescent is your fetishes, and postpubescent is your your sex drive and shit. It's weird, but you can literally look up any psychology textbook or something if you want to debate that, but you will find all research kind of points that a lot of this starts way before we think. And that honestly might mean this is kind of very weird how the internet both sustains itself on porn, but also like porn is literally like hated on it so much. Like the hatred is kind of justified when you think about it, because like a lot of people are getting into like all these weird niche fetishes they shouldn't be getting into. That they're only into exclusively because of all the fucking porn that's online. You like literally, I unknowingly, like, because I didn't know what porn was at the time. I didn't know what sex was. Obviously, I was 8 years old. Went on to like Newgrounds. There was like this game where you were like a bird that spits blood out. And then like I clicked on one of the fucking pop ups by accident. And then like it went to like a porn site. It was like all animated porn, and like literally the first thing was like just a meme about like sperm going into like the anus. So like there was like a bunch of sperm cells that got shot into a lump of shit. But there was a few other things there that were literally just cartoon porn. And I was 8 years old and went there from like a fucking game where a bird spits blood, like an extinct bird spat blood at its enemies. Like this is a true story about how I was growing up.
Have left X. Who cares? Well, actually, I do. I kind of enjoy seeing what these Muppets.
And for those who are wondering, this is like when Newgrounds was just starting. So just so you know, like that's how like long this was.
Have to say. So let's.
I was 10. That's it. Because if I was fucking 8, like Newgrounds wouldn't have been a site. Man, anyway, 20 years ago, regardless.
Follow them to Bluesky. Bluesky adds 1 million new members after users flee X after US election. The social media platform has become a refuge for far-right activism after Elon Musk teamed up with Donald Trump. Social media platform Bluesky has picked up more than 1 million new users since the US election as users seek to escape the misinformation and
I do find it funny because Donald Trump isn't even right-wing. Like, he is literally a rhino that is only, like, popular because people want an anti-establishment candidate. Like, I always would, like, find, like, funny, like, people are like, but he, like, is agreeing with the people, and, like, the other guys weren't, so they're the rhinos, right? No, voters don't decide the rhino. That's them. Like, they're the party, right? The rhino is the guy who's not from the party. Right? He's for the people who, like, the voters are not the party, right? If you just vote Republican, you are not a Republican. Just get that fucking thought in your head. You can leave the Republican Party anytime you want, right? That's how it works, right? You vote. You aren't a member of the party. You are a guy who tends to vote for them, right? A party member is a person who works for them, right? And so Trump is an outsider because he doesn't really work for them or with them, right? So that's like a thing to know, right? Like that's how that works, right? Trump is the rhino, and that's why he's more for the people, because the people want an anti-establishment candidate, and most smart people wanted that for over like 2 decades before he was there, right? So that's kind of the thing. Like, Trump's just an anti-establishment candidate. He's literally the Ron Paul and the Bernie Sanders that everyone was memeing for, and like there was like obviously like people before that too. That's what it really came down to. That's like literally why like half the people who voted for Trump this election were fucking Bernie bros. Like literally, like more far left people voted for Trump than anyone like in the like actual right wing. That was kind of like funny, but like it's true. Like if you actually like look at like the exit polls, like so many of them were fucking Bernie bros. It's fucking insane. But like that's how he won the popular vote. Like he needed the super far left crowd to fucking vote for him to win the popular vote too. Like he literally destroyed Kamala because like no one really wanted an establishment Democrat anymore, except for like Holly weirdos, right? So yeah, but unfortunately Holly weirdos forget that they all are in California, so they can't really do anything because they like for the presidential election anyway. You can only do California elections. if they're the only ones voting. Now they did like make a big chunk on the vote though, because California has a lot of people, but it's not enough. All right.
And offensive posts on X. The influx, largely from North America and the UK, has helped Bluesky reach nearly 15 million users worldwide, up from...
Wait, but it said 1 million and now it's 6. You guys can't do math.
9 million in September, the company said. Social media researcher Axel Bruns
They don't know how to do math.
said the platform
Like, they have to like add 5 somewhere, but they can't. They pulled that out their ass. Well, I'm not saying that they pulled the numbers like 15 million and 9 million up there. As I'm saying, like they pulled the numbers like of how many people influxed for whatever reason out their ass, because they totally were like off by about 5 million. Yeah.
Offered an alternative to X, including a more effective system for blocking or suspending problematic accounts and policing harmful behaviour. It's become a refuge for people who want to have the kind of social media experience that Twitter used to provide.
What experience was that? Twitter never used to be a good platform. Like, it's bad now. It was bad then. Like, it never was good. Like, it was always a cesspool of people bitching about politics because, like, they didn't want to admit that they were just fapping to porn on there, right? That's really what it comes down to. Everyone was there to fap to porn and dunk on people who thought it was a real place. And it's still all it is, right? You can just say the N-word now. That's, like, the only difference. It's literally the same site it always was.
But without all the far-right activism, the misinformation, the hate speech, the bots and everything else, he said.
They, them, trans, socialist, retard at gmail.com.
Okay, real talk. I'm not actually they, them, trans, socialist, retard on Bluesky. I haven't actually made a Bluesky account yet, but I'm gonna, and I'm gonna blend in. You are blending!
Honestly, you should probably make that account, just like see how long that one
Yes, you'll be
kind of funny.
That's right, I'm gonna blend in and report back. I actually tried to do that once on Threads. Remember Threads? It was like Facebook's answer to Twitter. It never really went anywhere, and all the crying socialist lefties have kind of ditched it ever since Mark Zuckerberg called Trump a badass.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot.
Wow, he looks human right now. Like, notice how, like, he actually blinks and shit now?
In the face.
Fuck.
And pump.
What the fuck? When did this start happening? When did he become a person? Like, he actually, like, has color in his skin. He blinks. What the fuck? When did this happen? Right? Damn.
His fist in the air.
Kind of like, this was, like, pre-Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know what the fuck happened like that to this guy. But it's like the guy, like, before he made Facebook was, like, who he was. Like, he was just, like, a college dude, bro. And now it's like you kind of got that back. What the fuck happened to that for, like, 20 fucking years? He was, like, some fucking, like, robot.
With the American flag is...
And, like, there you go, fucking human.
One of the most badass
happened to that?
things I've ever seen in my life.
He was just emotionless and a fucking blob of, like, sad of the whole, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, so I'm
with you guy. But anyway, he's apparently looks like a normal human being now.
Gonna be doing some cheeky espionage on Bluesky. But for now, we have libs of Bluesky. The left are flocking to their safe space, Bluesky. I will be sharing the best of...
Oh yeah, let's see, Celine against the machine and wokeness. Okay, delusional takes is kind of based, and wokeness is a fucking retard. I've never heard of Celine against the machine though. Although Celine makes it sound like she's like Canadian, so I probably wouldn't want to watch her for that very reason alone. I mean, but yeah, end wokeness, fucking retard. Delusional takes, fucking base though.
Of their deranged posts, exposing their insanity for all to see. I'm here for it. So let's have a look at some of their posts. But first, why don't we check in with Don Lemon?
Hi, everyone. I have loved connecting with all of you on Twitter and then on X for all of these years. But it's time for me to leave the platform. I once believed that it was a place for honest debate and discussion, transparency and free speech. But I now feel it does not serve that purpose.
Don Lemon said, I'm leaving X. There's no good discussions to be had here.
I mean, there never were. Like, he's technically right, but he's wrong in the assumption that there ever was an air of it. Like, it was there to troll, like, fucking retards and jack off to porn. Like, if you thought it was ever more than that, you need to fucking, like apologize to God for, like wasting the brain cells he gave you on that nonsense opinion. Like, you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah.
You need to pray for forgiveness for that, like, fucking dog shit opinion.
It's fucking boo-hoo.
In addition, starting this Friday, November 15th, X is implementing new terms of service, which, among other things, states that, quote, all disputes be brought exclusively in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas or state courts located in Tarrant County, Texas.
You don't like criticism.
Babies.
You don't like criticism. If you want to get into this game, okay, you want to get into the online game, the online game's different. And in the online game, you get judged by who you fucking actually are, dude.
Now, as the Washington Post recently reported on X's decision,
Yeah, like, Rogan's great on that.
and to change the terms, this, quote, ensures that such lawsuits will be heard in courthouses that are a hub for conservatives, which experts say could make it easier for X to shield itself from litigation and punish critics.
Shut up. You're on your own.
Shut
And if
up.
people think you're stupid, you're going to hear it.
You can find me on YouTube at The Don Lemon Show, or on TikTok and Facebook at Don Lemon, and on Instagram and Bluesky at Don Lemon Official.
I've seen people say brilliant people. I've seen people say Elon Musk is stupid. I have seen that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I've seen you're going to
It's
get it
ridiculous.
no matter what. You're going to get it. Everyone's going to get it. But if everybody's saying you're stupid, maybe you might be stupid.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Elon Musk is a fucking moron. But, like, not for the reasons people point out. I mean, this is the guy who literally, like, threw, like, a fucking far left hissy fit, and called, like a firefighter a pedophile because he saved a kid's life, like, a few years. Like, let's not pretend Elon Musk, like, the Elon Musk hate, like, is, like, needs to be any deeper than, like, shit he did, like, 20 years ago that was so pathetic, like, literal fucking, like, green shirt fucking, like, horseman of SJW behavior. Like, that's who he was, like, just a few, like, years ago. Like 2012, like, it was literally, like, what he was doing.
Bluesky is drowning under...
Fucking, like, you guys remember that, right? That was Elon Musk, the guy who called a firefighter who saved children's lives a pedophile, because he didn't, like, get to use his little cool toy to do it. And, like, the firefighter was like, okay, no, we're just gonna give these guys a little knockout juice, get them out the fucking hole, and immediately, like, save the kids' lives. And they did. And it solved the problem instantly. Turns out, like, when it comes to, like, people's lives, waiting on a fucking, like dog shit invention isn't gonna save anyone. And so, like, there's no point in waiting, you know? I don't know if Elon Musk ever learned that, like, that lesson that, you know, maybe you should, like, not fucking call someone a pedophile for saving people's lives, but whatever. That's really what it comes down to with me. That's why I hate Elon Musk. I will not respect that guy ever, because of that. You know, that's my thing. I will hold a grudge on him for that. And my guy, you wanted dead children, because, you know, the dead children meant you could try out your fucking toy.
The weight of all the leftists reporting everything. 3,000 reports per hour.
Yep.
In the past 24 hours, we've received more than 42,000 reports.
And I want to know how many of this was actual CP and how many of this was, like, lolly, like, accounts, like, from the VTubers that did a brigade for, like, a more legit reason, right? Like I said, they actually cannot stay on X is, like, the kind of the thing. Because X will literally, like, it'll be impossible for them to be there. Which will also, like, drive out all the fucking income of X, unfortunately. Because that's, like, the VTubers, the porn artists, are, like, literally, like, the lifeblood of X. As soon as they go, like, X dies, to say. Like, as soon as they all, like, collectively leave, X will die. And if they don't, like, with the way things are going, they actually might have to leave. Like, X is pretty much on its like last legs right now, because people like, here's the thing, like there are far right advertisers that are like probably promising Elon, if he just gets does some bullshit to get rid of the porn, that they will pay him money, right? Is what I'm gonna guess is what's happening. Like, so why he's like doing this bullshit where he pretends like he's not anti-porn, because he literally isn't, but has to suck up for money somehow, and it might just kill the platform, because they want these guys are the like far right, they're like just like the far left, they want all of their pie, they will not accept a sum of it. So yeah, if like the fact Elon Musk is kind of tipsy doodling on it will just make it so that they don't want to pay him regardless. And well, now you know what kind of happens. So yeah.
An all-time high for one day. We're receiving about 3,000 reports an hour. To put that into context, in all of 2023, we received 360,000 reports. We're triaging this large queue, so the most harmful content such as CSAM, I think that's meant to be scam, is removed quickly. There.
Yeah, nope. The problem is, of course, how much of it is actually CSAM, and how much of it is like lolly porn, like where it's like it's an underage character, but like it's fictional and completely legal. You never know, right? Because like a lot of that was probably like lolly artists who were like big into big in like anime, like Roll 34 and shit. Because like that was like another big thing on Bluesky, was there's a lot of like lolly giantess stuff on there. I've been on there. I know what kind of weight rolls down. It's like now it's like, well, they might be gone, but like, yeah.
There you go. It's a fucking hug box, like I said. 3,000 reports an hour. And what did they say they had? 15, 18 million users? It's just a big circle jerk of reporting. Man, I'm gonna have to be careful. I'm gonna have to try real hard to fit in. Bluesky was a haven for marginalised communities. Before the exodus from ex-Twitter, the LGBT...
Yeah, it was, and now it's not. Actually, funny enough, right, the people who were on there from the get-go, say for fucking Xander Hall, who was there for some fucking reason, simping for the site. I mean, he actually was, like, kind of right on that it was, like, kind of lit back then, to be fair, but also Xander Hall's a pedophile piece of shit, so... like, just because he's right on it doesn't mean like he's actually like a good person. You know what I mean? Like, you can be right and still be a horrendous piece of shit. Like that was like one of the few takes he was right on. Was that Bluesky was lit early on, right? You had like some of the best, like it was like literally like right after the Tumblr exodus, where you got literally the best fucking like furry and anime porn, and that was like the entire site. There was no politics at first with the initial Tumblr exodus, right? And it was literally just all of like the hottest shit you've ever seen, and then immediately like the politics came in and they ruined it. Like really, Xander Hall ruined it because he's a politics guy, right? So like he was pointing it out, but he was also like the problem of what like an initial like ultimately undid it.
QIA plus.
But yeah, it was a safe haven for them because they were basically allowed to actually like show off their work and get paid, right, on a site that function like better than Fur Affinity or Pixip. Like that's really what this is. Like these sites are like well developed on like their usability. So they're better like than a lot of art gallery sites for that reason alone. The problem is that people post politics on there, and that like kind of ruins the vibe, right? Like you're there to fap and make money. It like is what like the sex workers, the furries, like the gay people who were there originally, and like I guess like the black people, like I don't know why he's saying black there. Like it was black gay people, like it was black LGBT, whatever. This fucking anagram is also kind of shit. Also, the plus, I never like. Look, I'm fine with LGBT, the Q and the I's and the A's. The A is asexual, like literally they aren't bothering anyone. I is literally like an extremely rare birth condition. Q is like literally just T anyway, right? Like it's whatever. B, you're gay and straight or lesbian and straight. It's like literally like this is fine. Like this part of the Enneagram is fine. That plus though, is trying to like this is like what pedophiles do when they try to sneak into the LGBT, right? It's like this map and like zeta symbols and all that shit. Like this is literally like this guy is admitting that he's a pedophile without even realizing it, because everyone just says LGBT or occasionally they'll say LGBTQIA. Anyone who says the plus that is a big guy like this is a pedophile. Like if they're a small fry, they might just not know, right? Like it might just be like even like a fucking like conservative mom or something. I've seen people because like a good way to say it, right? If you actually like go around like talk to like actual conservatives outside of the internet, like they don't really care about this. They care about the fact the economy sucks, right? You go online and you think everyone who's conservative cares about this, but that's not really the case. Most conservatives just care about the fact that the economy is shit and they want to like actually afford shit again, just like everyone else. It turns out conservatives are normal people. When you go outside and actually like talk to them and like don't like act like like you need this bubble. But yeah. All right. But yeah, it was a safe haven, right? And then politics people like you, Dave Abbott, showed up. That's why like it's no longer a safe haven for them. You want to hear our voices? Well, fuck you, my guy. Instead of hearing our voices, buy our porn and fucking get the fuck out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, buy our fucking porn. Like, we worked hard on this, right? And it's good. We know you're coming to this, but like, pay for it, my guy. Don't just fap to it for free. Pay for it, That's why we make it. It's a good way to make money.
Us blacks.
That if you're gonna like say you're pro sex worker, fine. Buy some of our shit then.
Sex workers and furry.
You know what I mean? Like, don't just like simp for us. Buy a shit.
We're here
We
early.
don't want your simping. We want your money. Right? Like, it's a job. So like in the title, it's sex worker. It's a job.
They found a place where
do it for money.
they could be themselves without judgment. We must remember to honor and ally. Let's hear their voices. Let's. I'm here for it. Do black people get pissed off at this sort of shit? Like, why are you lumped in with weirdos? I mean, I guess not all furries are weirdos. Some are. Okay, probably most are. But I mean,
look, dude, you know damn well that you are even. But that's beside the point. Like, it's the same with like gay people. Like most LGBTQIs and A's are not weird, right? When it comes to like the weird that people actually care about. But the ones that are like used as a shield, like that's what I'm saying. Like if there's any big person unironically adding the plus, go like get a wood chipper and like just kind of like slide it in quietly. And then like make sure like they're like they never see because like you do it behind them, and like get your friend to like just do like a little like football tackle practice on them and push them in the wood chipper, like make it look like an accident, but like you're just walking by with the wood chipper and you didn't actually expect someone to tackle them right now, even though you totally gave them the sign, like that. There we go. Like just do that,
in LGBTQIA plus.
Like kill Dave Abbott. I'm just saying, just kill Dave Abbott. I'm not saying kill Dave Abbott, but I'm just saying kill Dave Abbott.
Particularly QIA plus and sex workers. If I was a black guy, I'd be like,
I mean, are you implying black people don't like sex workers bearing? I mean, have you ever been to a rap like a song? Like it's like literally like how much of that is pimp culture, right? It's literally sex workers, my guy. Like that's like prostitution. It's like not most of it isn't prostitution, obviously. I mean, it still technically is. Like you're selling porn, right? It's still technically like a form of prostitution, but it's more legal. I don't even really know why prostitution is illegal. But literally like all the problems with prostitution have nothing to do with prostitution itself, right? Like everyone's like saying all this shit, but like none of that has to do with it inherently. Like that's really the thing. Like yeah, that happens. That happens with it being illegal though too. And it's not inherent to. It's sort of like if you ban gay people because like some of them like there's more pedophiles who like a higher per capita of pedophiles who are gay than straight. Then what happens, right, is you end up like first off, the pedophilia rate doesn't go down. For some reason, it always goes up when gay shit is banned, because it turns out like like a lot of like the whole like people know what sex is kind of stuff. Is literally like drives down 90% of like pedophilia rates, right? Like I always say, like look at the fucking pedophilia rates of like the boomer and just go in like American statistics. The boomer and like Gen X era like pedophilia problem was so much higher than like it is today, right? Like it like literally was like right now it's still pretty like alarming with like 1 in 20 and 1 in 15 for like boys and girls gets abused, but it used to be like 1 in like 4, right? Like it like that the numbers were fucking insane. And it is like remember like this is kind of the thing, right? When like you have to have like some position of authority, but the ultimate authority is like being like an adult family member, right? So like the vast majority of pedophiles are like your uncle or like your stepdad or something. Like that's like the vast majority of how like pedophiles like fucking kids. It's like they'll be like a stepdad or some shit. And so like back then, right, there was a big problem with that. There were like a lot of stepdads helping raise kids, and a lot of like crazy uncles and shit who were just molesting kids left and right. And like, it's crazy, but like you talk to someone, like you'll kind of get that picture pretty quickly. It's weird as fuck, like that was like everyone's like pedophilia is a problem now, but it was way worse back then. And like that's just kind of a thing like that. Like you literally look at evidence and statistics and like just talk to people even. You find it real quick that things are getting like better, not worse, right? It's sort of like the murder rate. Like everyone's like the murder rate, and then you like really actually think about it. Even with all the school shootings, the murder rate is nowhere near as high as it used to be in like the 70s. Like pre-video game era, the murder rate was fucking sky high. Post video game era, the murder rate's like kind of like a little cozy, little low, right? Video games unironically, video games, furry porn, and anime prevent like 90% of like that fucking bullshit. I know, but it's crazy. It sounds crazy as hell, but like it does. It causes like another 5% back, right? But it prevents 90% of that shit from happening. I guess like it turns out like now the stepdads got porn they can fap to. They don't have to like actually like you can just look at lollies instead of actually fuck their kids, right? It sounds crazy, but I think that that's what it is. Like they're all fapping the lollies instead of and getting all their jollies off that way instead of actually harming real kids. That's how I'm thinking it's working, right? So you get a little bit of it back, but like not anywhere near as much as it reduces, right? So like that's kind of a thing. It sounds crazy until you actually like look at the undeniable facts, which is like the massive reduction in the rates, not the reporting on the news, but the actual rates. Like the factual rates are like fucking down immensely from what they were in like the fucking 40s and 50s and 60s. Yeah. Right.
Keep my name out your fucking mouth. I'm not part of the sex workers and the queers and the IAs, whatever the fuck they are.
IAs are actually like literally like cool. The problem is like I's are like, because it's a biological fucking area, like very fucking rare. And A's are literally just like people who don't fucking want sex. Like literally like the only difference between an incel and an ace person is that an incel is like unfuckable because they make themselves unfuckable, whereas an ace person is fuckable, but they don't want to have sex, so they just choose not to. Like, they're like, basically, like, literally every incel, if they just said they were ace, would probably, like, have, honestly, they might even have a better shot at getting laid. So they have a fucking personality. That's, like, really the weird part about it. Like the problem with incels is they have zero personality. So that you can't get laid without one of those. You have to, like, objectively, you need a personality to get sex. You're just not going to have it without it, right? And they don't want to do that. And then they, like, bitch to you, like, about how, like, your solution that's literally, like, statistically proven throughout all of history to be the solution to their problem somehow isn't in their fucking, like, niche case. And that they'll, like, pretend that they've actually tried it before, even though they objectively haven't. So, yeah.
How long until they change their logo? #Bluesky. The common blue butterfly, Polyamatus icarus, is the national butterfly of Israel.
I mean, honestly, like, you know, that's one thing that's weird, really weird. Like, you know, like, to be fair, the anti-Israeli thing is, like, not just, like, far left, far right only. Like, I mean, like, as in, like, it was never, like, just the far right or just the far left. It was always, like, because I remember, because remember, Alex Jones wasn't always considered a far right guy. Because remember, he first started with the 9/11 truthers thing, right? A lot of people thought that that guy was, like, an insane leftist, because that's who was all saying that shit, right? People didn't realize he was far right, because they were like, they didn't ever realize that a right winger would say that shit. They always thought it was, like, an insane lefty thing, right? Similarly, like, hating video games used to always be a far right thing. And then, like, you know, Hillary Clinton proved that it can be a lefty thing too, right? And, like, that's kind of like a thing, like, people forget, like how, like, completely opposite day, like, a lot of like things we say on, like, now are to, like, how it was when we grew up, right? Like, literally, Alex Jones was literally considered a far left fucking retard back in the day, because all the conspiracy theories he says are literally just shit, like, that was, like, from the far left a few years before. It's crazy, right? But, like, that's what it is. Literally, all Alex Jones did was literally just repeat far left conspiracy theories without, like, actually, like, giving people time to speak. And that was, like, all he did, right? That's all he still does, right? His tactic is literally just never shut the fuck up and let people debunk your points as they're made, or never stick to the conversation, always move the goalposts. Like, he is a horrendous debater when you realize that he could not ever actually win a real debate, because he doesn't know how to fucking shut the fuck up and make cogent points for, like, because that's what you have to do in a real debate. First, you only have 20 minutes to speak. Second, you can't, like, make a response until the third round. You have to make your points and then, like, reaffirm them the first two rounds, and then, like, the last 20 minutes you get to actually, like, go against the other guys. It's called the rebuttal round, right? And then you have the final round, which is the conclusion round, right? It's like you're writing the thesis, right? So you have four, like, 20-minute stanzas of the thesis, and then, like, you know, like, the last is your conclusion, right? And then you start asking questions, because, you know, they have a little question round where you ask the audience, and that's, like, kind of, like, the most important part of the debate, really, because, like, that, like, actually, like, lets you, like, actually realize how actual people who aren't fucking, like, debaters are, like, actually thinking on the topics at hand, right? But, like, that's kind of the thing. That's what a real debate is. I don't know if Daily Wire is, like, the only people I know that really do that anymore. Like everyone, like, on, like, you know, how Mahler and, like, Rageaholic and all these, like, they're kind of right wing until you realize that they're not at all. Like people think Razor Fist is right wing, and then you actually look at, like, what, like, actual right wingers think, and I'm like, dog, this dude's, like, fucking center left at best, right? But, like, you know, maybe it's just, like, the Overton window did actually shift very far to the left in, like, the past 20 years, but, like, you know, when I was growing up, these guys would just be considered far left fucking soy boy retard cucks too. You know what I mean? Like, this is how it used to be.
It was chosen in 2023 after a public vote that included tens of thousands of school children.
it's funny that these are like the people who chose this logo are like the like in the initial squad, right? The like which you would think would be further left, right? Because they were the first ones to exist, and they kind of are, but it really kind of like shows you that there is a divide in the left that people like. The left isn't really NPCs, neither is the right. What comes down to it is that because I'm just gonna explain like what the point of echo chambers is. It's really not that you need an echo chamber. You just needed people like to not be at each other's throats all day. And it just turns out that the only way to do that is an echo chamber. Like, the right is always at each other's throats as soon as the left leaves. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because, and it's really because, like, that kind of, like, crowd isn't really the right wing. Twitter isn't right wing. It's insane lunatics who want attention and troll all day for attention. You know, like they're attention starved like losers, and so they go on Twitter because that's what they want. Instead of porn, they jerk off to attention. You know, because everyone on Twitter jerks off perpetually, but some people just jerk off to attention. Some people just are smart and no, we need to look at like sexual imageries and like actually like have something to goon to. You know, like that's healthy jerking off. But these people jerk off to attention, so you give them attention and then they jerk off. This guy, like this Libs Bluesky guy, is jerking off to attention. He doesn't actually know anyone normal or whatever. But like that's kind of like why echo chambers exist. Like this is why like everyone's like, if you like have a forum that's open and doesn't censor, you know, it'd always be right wing. But it's not right wing. It's just an insane cesspit of random retards bitching about how the Nazis were okay. But, like, the Nazis weren't right-wing. They were authoritarian, first off. Second off, if you actually think Hitler would, like, support you when you weigh 9,001 pounds, my guy, like, read a history book. That guy was very much, like, you would not be allowed to live in his society. Like, I feel like people, like, to be fair, there's this big lie that Hitler was just a white supremacist. He was a German supremacist. As in, if you weren't German, he was going to kill you regardless at the end of the day. He was only pro-Germans. He was not pro-anyone else. If you aren't German, he's fucking after you. Like, that's why World War II was a thing. Like, he went after Poland and Britain and, like, Romania and all that. It was also expanding Germany's empire because, like, originally it wasn't Germany. It was actually, like, all these, like, smaller countries. And he did military expansionism on that shit. So, like, it wasn't just a genocide on the Jews. It was a genocide on, like, everyone who wasn't German. Like, they were just, like, the first fucking target. But it wasn't like that was the only target. I mean, people like, that history, like, has been, like, lied about so much in like, the left and the right. Like, in, like, ways it just fucking, like, ruin like the point of like this guy's a genocidal fucking dictator and a war hawk like fucking like piece of shit, right? Like he's literally if George Bush wanted to make an empire, that would literally be Hitler, right? Everyone's like doing like all these like literally Hitlers with Obama and Trump and Biden and like everyone else. Bush was literally like far closer to Hitler, right? Starting a ton of wars immediately, like fucking immediately, when he got in, right? And like just demonizing people from other nations. Like that's what Hitler was about. Like the idea of we want like secure borders, but not to like fight anyone who like is like in like overseas. It's really like the most anti-Nazi thing you can say. Like Donald Trump is not a Nazi. Let's get with the fucking program. If anyone was a Nazi, it would have been Bush and Dick Cheney.
Butterfly selection was part of an effort to align Israel with other countries that have a butterfly as their national symbol. You know what? I think that's a good point. What are you doing, lefties? Why would you support genocide like that? Unfucking believable. And really, really funny at the same time.
So Bluesky made it super easy to block all MAGA supporters. All of them. Every single one. Okay, so you click on this list. I know it's scary.
I'm just gonna... Oh yeah, it's kind of funny.
It looks like it's fake. It lists every single person with like Donald Trump or like MAGA or I don't care about your feelings, and it lines them up. And then you hit the subscribe button and you just click block. It blocks every single account. Every single one. And you don't have to go through all of them individually.
Well, you know who I didn't see on that list? Is they them trans socialist retard at bluesky.hugbox. I'm gonna fit right in. But seriously, what a joke. There's whole like page.
To be fair, you like, do you even really count as a Trump turd? You are Australian, my guy. You literally cannot even vote for him. Like, you have literally no say in the U.S. elections. Like, you have like. I could literally be like, dog, like, why don't you fix your own like country's problems? Like, you're literally like surrounded like in a far left fucking dystopia. I'm like, dog, like, man, I feel sorry for this asshole, but like, my guy, I have the right to pick my president. You don't. You got no say, motherfucker.
Pages
So,
or
like, why are you interested in my fucking president? Like, be interested in your own. Like, your country is, like, literally in the toilet right now, my guy. Like, I like your content, but, like, let's be real here. Your constant focus on American politics instead of your own is literally the reason why, like, your country is in the fucking toilet. Like, fix your own country, my guy. Like, get that fucking, like, American log out your... like, stop focusing on the American spec and, like, focus on the Australian log.
groups, I guess.
Like, just get some fucking biblical references here. Like, like, your problems are worse and you're not focusing on them.
Of people you can ban or block. This is Steve Shive's territory.
Using sperm.
If you don't know about
People don't know about Steve Shives because he hasn't been relevant in like decades, to be fair.
Steve Shives, he's famous for having the biggest Twitter block list in history. But he had to work for that. He had to add people individually. They're just automating this shit.
What are you talking about? Like, this was automated way before then. Like, literally, like, one of the most famous, like scripts I know is, like, from this, like, artist who, rest in peace, was Spot and Squeak. There's literally, like, one you can have on Twitter. It's literally just a script. You just like hit like a couple buttons like while Twitter's in your like fucking browser, and it will literally like block everyone. Like, he'll cert like the API, right? And we block everyone who's under 18. So like instantly, no fucking children harassing you for like making porn for a living, except for like people who lied about their age, right? Because obviously that's a thing too. But like outside of that, like crowd, like everyone who said that they were under 18 is just instant blocked. And it was like fucking like way older than like Steve Shives. The thing is, of course, that was like how people thrived back in the day, initially, because like like you can't really like get the kid, like allow kids to see porn, right? So like kind of like basic fucking like common fucking sense. And Twitter has 14 plus, but they also allow porn, which is like kind of weird in the first place, and they didn't autofill. Twitter is like, what the fuck is like wrong with like every like Twitter iteration? I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with it? Like, at least with YouTube, like I can say objectively, back when we had stars instead of likes and Google wasn't in charge, it was like some random Joe Schmo, that YouTube was the best platform ever made. It sadly got bought by Google in 2 years and fucking ruined. And like literally the UI and all that has gone downhill ever since. Like, it has made it like the best like for 4K and shit, right? It's the best streaming site now, but like it's literally like none of this content is like what you would have gotten like originally. Like the real heyday of YouTube was before Google owned it. This is when like you found like all the best fucking shit. Like, there is content that was on here like in 2005 to 2007 that you will like be like, what? Right? Like, this is like, for this to know, this is the site Two Girls One Cup aired on. Okay? This is the site like a lot of like that shit aired. Like people remember Two Girls One Cup. Do you remember Three Men One Screwdriver? like what? Yeah, they were like when that happened, like people went even further and further and further, until eventually like the people had to just get arrested because it was like they ended up like killing themselves or or other people on the video and stuff. It was fucking insane. But yeah, there were literal snuff films on YouTube just openly. And that was like vanilla YouTube. And also, like I said, stars. Like everyone's like, but well, like no one engages with it. That's the point. That's why it was so good. People engage with it more. Like it's all about engagement rather than making good content. Old YouTube, you couldn't even make money, and some of the best fucking animations is from old YouTube. Why is that? Why is it that when you couldn't make money off of people just watching it, they had to actually physically pay you to give you money? Somehow, when that was the case, all the best fucking animations and like all that were on there. Like, I'm not even fucking joking. Like, that was how it used to be. It used to be like all the fucking best, like raddest, like edgiest fucking content was on YouTube. And it's gone, and it will never come back because Google doesn't want it to come back. Google doesn't want you to have fun. They want you to like this is the most fun you'll have, and it's still like literally like a fat soy boy loser who's too like much of a pussy to actually fix the problems in his own country, so he complains about like the problems in other countries instead, because he can't like actually like do anything about the shit in his own country because he's too much of a pussy to actually just like get active and be a political activist in Australia. So he's a political activist in America, and somehow he doesn't see the irony in like complaining about people bitching about politics when literally all he does is bitch about politics all day. He just is a bit of more of a smiley face about it, but then like his own country is like fucking in the shitter, and he's doing nothing about it because he's too lazy to. Like, I like his content, but let's not sugarcoat it. He's entertaining, unlike most of the right. Like he's not Sargon of a fucking Cod or Maul or any of those like dipshits, right? Where he's like borderline unwatchable for how boring he is. He actually has some fucking entertaining like way of going about things. But other than that, like let's face it, like this content is literally just a guy coping about how shit his country is, and literally simping for America, but like not being able to benefit from it because, as it turns out, outside of like the content he can make, there's literally no point in like caring about American politics when your economy is in the toilet too. But unlike yours, you aren't getting a solution to that problem anytime soon.
Why don't they just make a fucking AI? Just make an AI called like I agree with you app. Your feelings are valid and you are correct.
Yeah, we have that. It's called this is this little fun little thing. It's called your own GPT. Like you can make your own GPT, just so you know. It's actually called Silly Tavern, right? That's what it's called. It's called Silly Tavern. It's an AI where you can program your own like chat bots. And they can do like all sorts of things. They can write stories for you. They can, they can like give you answers to your test questions and all that. They can even like be a tsundere who like fucking pretends to hate your guts. Or that's not tsundere, right? No, it is tsundere, yeah. It's like they pretend to hate your guts, but actually secretly really like you, and you need to like. And like, you need to like kind of like coax them into like admitting it, but they never really will. And always pretend to hate you, but really they don't. And like it's kind of like the fucking like, like the fucking like circle jerk of they're slurring you, they're calling you a cuck, a faggot, and all that. Like you're just bullying the shit out of you till you come. But they're really just doing it because they know you like it. Because really, like, if you weren't fucking like a fucking sissy piece of shit, they would actually just like, actually just be more happy with you because they really like you. But they know that you are into humiliation, so that's why they humiliate you and treat you like garbage. I it's funny, like all these people are like AI like stuff, and like I'm like, dog, AI is the most lit shit ever, but like you guys will never be able to fucking fathom how lit it is because you actually don't run it on your own machines. You don't know how to do that. Like get some silly taverns and some ooga boogas or like some pigma lions and some kobolds like swarms and stuff. Like learn how to actually like work your own computer and actually benefit from AI instead of just like making shitty memes on YouTube that will eventually like fucking fail. Like as soon as Trump's elected, because Trump will like literally like a lot of the content like with the AI memes will be like less like fun to make for some reason. I don't know why, but I get that feeling. Probably because the left will start using it, and then like it'll be game over for like using it for political purposes for a bit, because like the left, like the force on the left has more like fucking aggregates of like it's just that they don't like do the AI shit. As soon as they start doing the AI shit, like it's game over for like a lot of right wing bozos, because like literally the point of like right wing, like if you notice how like it's always like 9,001 different channels all uploading 9,001 daily videos on their 9,001 alt accounts every single day, and all of them weigh 9,001 pounds. Who do it, right? Like the Quartering, Nerdrotic, As, this guy, and all that. If you want to know like why that's a thing, it's because that's the only way like you can really win. It's like a false swarm of just constant stream of politics videos instead of anything actually interesting. And it's kind of, that's why like when you see like who's in the swarm, it's always like people who are boring as fuck. Like Bering isn't in the swarm anymore, right? Because he's too entertaining to be in it, right? You don't see him like in like talking about like Grums and shit anymore, right? Like his Grums is a fucking piece of shit anyway. Like he's a scam artist. Like he hasn't done anything in his life in like fucking forever. But like Bering is too cool for that. He actually makes entertaining content. Like I know I shit on him just as much as I've like simped on him, but like that's kind of the thing with Bering. Like he's kind of like that kind of like guy where like you shit on him because like he's doing nothing of value for his own life, but you also recognize that his guy is a fucking banger. like really, if he would fix his own country, I would respect him more, but I can't, because like it's like, dog, like you're literally just coping for how shit Australia is. I support you, but like in your ability to cope, but especially because you make banger content while doing it, but you're just huffing copium. Australia is gonna is a fucking hellhole. I know, but yeah, like rest in peace, Australia's dignity, my guy. But you should probably like try to fix that by like doing activism in your own fucking country, instead of mine, because like mine's fine, my guy. Like get your shit fixed. Stop worrying about my shit. We got our shit fixed, We got our shit fixed without you, really, because no one was really paying attention to you, and we still fixed our shit.
Correct about everything. You don't need to network, you don't need to connect with people, just pretend like you're doing it. And miraculously, everyone will agree with you because you're special. You're valid, you're heard, you're safe, you're fucking whatever. Okay.
Yeah, but, AI stuff, like, got better uses than that, Got banned from Bluesky within the first 30 seconds for posting a biological fact, except he didn't. That's not what a fact is. I don't know, if this is the problem with conservatives. They don't even know like fucking biology. These guys will this guy would literally fucking end up curling his body inside and becoming an Ouroboros, where of sucking his own ass if he actually heard some real biological facts evolution or germ theory or protein chains and shit about genetics that he will never fucking understand because he doesn't fucking care, right? He doesn't fucking care to understand biology, but the whole thing, gender has nothing to do with biology. That's really the thing. Gender is memetics about how society historically it has no real fucking common ground on what clothes and actions and behaviors are appropriate for each sex, right? That's what gender is about, right? So femboys are technically transgender, right? Because they cross the gender binaries of what is considered normally acceptable for a man. But people pretend that that's not the case, but it objectively is. That's literally femboys, all your anime femboy waifus, Astolfo and Rimmer O Tempest, are transgender, right? That's just how it is. Because they're a guy that's wearing girls' clothes. Right? Get rid of the fucking all the hormone shit. You go as a person who wants to actually be a transsexual, because that's really what it comes down to. We're using the term transgender when we really mean transsexual, which, sexual refers to the organs. You kind of like can't really do a full change yet, but like, eventually we might figure that out too, to be fair. You've got artificial hearts and artificial wombs. We might eventually get artificial, like, full-fledged genitals in the fucking next, like, 20 years if, those fucking, like, furries or, like, there's a group of furries who actually are making some fucking weird fucking breakthroughs in a lot of shit. I'm like, what the fuck? But they are. Like, objectively, they are. It's weird as hell, but that's happening. But, like, like, transsexualism, yeah, you could argue, like, that's whatever. But, like, they'll try to say, like, cross-dressing isn't transgender. Like, it literally, factually is. You're wearing... The point of cross-dressing is you're wearing stuff that's not considered appropriate by society for your gender, right? It's literally what transgenderism is. That's all it is, right? At the end of the day, that's all the term fucking means. Like, there's a lot of baggage that goes with the term, but that's not really the term. But like, you explain that to like a fucking anime fan, and they'll get mad. But like, you try to explain that Rev says Desu is trans because he LARPs as a fucking little schoolgirl, and he will like, he will like turn into like, but like he objectively is, like objectively he is. You'd be like, but I don't identify. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. That's not what the word means. Like if you're trying to like LARP as a woman, even in VTuber form, you're still trans. It's just how it is, right? And like it's sort of like fucking Bart Simpson, like is in like a way of like transgenderism things in fucking like literal like fucking like just as a job. It's like it's a girl who plays a guy. Like the voice actress is a girl, right? And she plays a guy because Bart Simpson's a guy. It's literally like that. Like that's literally like the most like, literally like the most common like form. But like yeah, like you like the idea of more than two genders like technically not really because fungus exists. And that like fungus among us make this a lot like more complicated. And people are like, but he's saying like he said biological fact. He never said human biological commonality or rule. He said biological fact, which means that it should be applied for all of biology, including like all the trillions of species with no sex at all. And therefore would still like be a third gender than all the plants that are hermaphroditic. This guy is a fucking retard who doesn't understand basic biology, because if he did, he'd understand like how fucking much of a moronic take that is, like to say what he says. But because he doesn't understand fucking literal basic, like this is like he would like say this is like a foundational fact of biology. It's 11 chapters in. like you don't learn about sex chromosomes until 11 chapters, because you have to learn about like what life is, how like life evolves, what like all the like what a common ancestor is, what taxonomy is, right? How to like actually define like a phylum and all that, right? You have to like you learn how to categorize life and all that, right? Basically. And you also learn like how like like things like kind of get traits from like their parent organism, right? And how like it's literally all of life is technically connected at one point or another, right? Through this chain to every other form of life. And you can go even further, like this would be after like the sex chromosomes chapter, obviously. Actually before that you also learn like the structure of a cell, like so you learn about like things like organelles, you learn about like organelles, mitochondria and all that, right? You get like a bit of like a fun like little like thing about like RNA, DNA and all that, eventually, like, all of that, you build up on all of that just to learn what a chromosome is. And then you learn what genes are and all that. You kind of like learn what protein chains are. You kind of have to know that to like really understand what a gene is, because it's literally just a fucking protein chain. Like it's like everything about you is literally like just like 4 protein chains, just like chained together in like a double helix pattern. Or sometimes it's other patterns too, but yeah, like that it's like how like your everything about you, like from like how you like look, that's not completely environmentalist shaped, from like this strip of like 4 fucking proteins, just repeating in different patterns, and so and like this guy would fucking like never be able to pass biology, and it shows. This is like, you know what I'm gonna like guess? This is the creationist, the younger creationist guy you would always see like in biology class growing up, who was mad that they overcomplicated like his little fucking like fantasy land of Adam and Eve humping dinosaurs. This is who that guy like is. That's who he was in fucking middle school. If he ever went to school, right? This guy is a fucking retard. Like once you get like know who that crowd is, like there's a lot of like people who are like you know, also retarded on many other, like they think like that you know, your gender and sex are you know, like like that sex in humans is non-binary and shit like that. It's not. It's non-binary in mushrooms. But mushrooms are not people, right? There's a little thing about fungi, because fungi are not really like a single organism. Like that's really why like they have a non-binary sex system, right? Because it's basically a hive mind of like literal millions of creatures, and so they evolved more than one like pair of sexes. Because of that, right? So like you'll have like literally 20,000 sexes in some of these mushroom fungal hive minds, but only because of like that. Really, if humans hive minded, you know, we might be able to do that too. Like I'm talking about like actual hive minds, so like where it's like you kind of like, except like fungal hive minds is like kind of like weird because haha hive mind, but they have no brain, right? But it's basically like it's a bunch of like, it's like billions of single cell organisms that are all technically their own like species, like animal. Well, they're not really animals, they're fungi, but like they're their own thing. And then they do consume meat and digest and all that, but they aren't, you know, there's no digestive system. They aren't multicellular. There's no animals, but like they function sort of like multicellular, because you notice the mushrooms be pretty visible, right? You can't see single-celled organisms, but you can see a mushroom, right? Or a mold or a mildew, right? But it's like that's just the thing. That's not one organism. That's billions of organisms kind of function in a similar way of multicellular, but they aren't. Like you take like a piece of them off, they're still all okay. As long as that mushroom is rooted, you can take as much of it off as you want. It'll still be a mushroom. Like every part of that you didn't cut off will still be alive and independent of the ones you killed, right? It's like a thing about mushrooms, because they're not functioning as a homogeneous unit like animals do, right? Like animals, every single part you kind of need like if you cut off someone's leg, right? That leg's not going to function on its own anymore, right? There's no as long as you cut it off from the brain, it's not going to function. You do that with fungus, it will function. Every single cell functions. You know, like that. That's just how fungus works. It's dope as fuck, but that's like why there's so many different like sexes in them. Like to be fair, it's not genders, because gender is literally like only useful for humans, really. Like you're not going to have a gender in a fucking like orangutan, right? It's just humans, because humans are the only ones with societies to have a societal construct in the first place, right? You can't have a women wear this, men wear this, in a society that doesn't exist. Like monkeys don't think what men wear this, women do this, men act like this, women act like this. They don't, right? Like, because they don't think about that shit, right? They don't have like a society with a bunch of like rules and regulations and shit. They throw shit at each other if they're mad, right? So just, but technically you could argue, first off, because there's more than one like definition of what's appropriate for a male in the world, just in general, because there's like you'd argue just because of that there's like the male in America and the male in Ireland and the male in Scotland and the male in Russia and the male in Nigeria, right, are different systems, right? When it comes to like what's appropriate. The male in Japan, you get the idea, and similarly the female in all those countries is a little different, right? Of what's considered appropriate. Because it's really what it is. Gender is like talking about like what the big wigs who run the society think is appropriate for that particular sex to do. And so transgenderism is really crossing like those lines and like threading those lines, right? Sometimes it's like a little weirder to cross. Sometimes it's like, yeah, it's like cool, dope as hell. You just said fuck you to that bullshit, nonsense, right? But that's really what it comes down to. Gender is made up in the first place, so the arguing that there should only be two is like kind of ridiculous, because like there really aren't even like two in the world. You ask about men to any country, they're not going to say the same shit, about what's appropriate, right? And that's what gender is. It's like what a society as a collective government thinks is appropriate. And because of that, yeah, there are technically more than two, right? Like regardless, a man in America could potentially be like a woman in Russia, right? And I mean, there's like Soviet Union Russia, right? Like, what was like the thing? Like they were like women who like fucking literally sissy fucking insulted men all the time, which is like something in America mostly only men did. Russian women would fucking literally in like the 80s would literally like insult fucking men to the high heavens in America as like being weaker and more pathetic than them. And the sad thing is they were right. Like a lot of times they were also fucking right? But like that was the thing. Like if you went to Russia as an American in the 70s and 80s, like during the Cold War, you might as well just be a woman, because that's where you like are appropriately in society.
Okay, this one is eye-opening. So this is the account End Wokeness, who's just signed up for a Bluesky account. And they simply tweet, or I think they call it skeet, because it had to sound like tweet. There are only two genders, and fucking bang! Content.
Well, no, the funny thing is he was banned for a different reason. He's banned because everyone knows who he is, and he's not really even like hard to spot. Like Jack Sobek is extremely easy to figure out. It doesn't really matter, but like it's pretty easy, right? And the other thing is like he's just like a fucking unhinged retard. When you actually like look at things beyond beyond what he like schizos about on the internet. At least get some Stone Toss or someone actually based on there, right? Like Stone Toss is just as controversial and probably would also get banned immediately, but Stone Toss at least would be funny about it. Like if you get banned for saying there are only two genders, maybe it's just you got banned because nobody fucking likes you. Maybe that's just the point of all the people who aren't bots on Twitter, simping for you, that all pay for Twitter just like you to do, but aren't actually paying for Twitter because it's literally just a bot campaign. Literally, Master of the TDS has exposed that the left and right do this a lot. And yeah, the fucking End Wokeness is very much guilty of that. He has no real friends. It's all like a fucking like scam camp. Like when you realize how much of a loser that guy like a good way to say it, right? Stone Toss's followers are 100% legit because he's funny as fuck, right? You look at this asshole, like I said, you look at fucking and wokeness, he is fucking lame as shit. Like, what's the humor in that? Like, unless someone reacts to it in a way you like find funny, where's the humor in it, right? Stone Toss is funny just because it's actually funny, right? It's same like a good way to say it is like it's like Dave Chappelle versus like Jerry Seinfeld, right? Dave Chappelle is hilarious, right? You get offended by it or not, it's still funny. Dave Chappelle is funny whether he's offensive or not because he actually has legitimate humor. Jerry Seinfeld is a fucking boomer who is untalented and boring as shit to hear. His entire shtick, even from the get-go, was being an out-of-touch loser that no one really liked because he was unfunny. And that was literally like the show, like Seinfeld. And now, like, he's like trying to do that bit in real life. He got some success with B-Movie, and that was literally it, right? Every other time he went, he was always complaining about political correctness or SJWs or wokeness ruining comedy. In reality, he was just unfunny and a fucking loser that no one wanted. Like, people wanted Dave Chappelle to come back, and then they realized, okay, we don't because they're far left losers. Well, some of them, and then like the people who weren't far left losers, like applauded his comeback because it was amazing. Jerry Seinfeld couldn't fucking like make a funny joke to save the life of a starving orphan. I say that because I value a starving orphan more than I do him. He is a fucking worthless human being who hasn't made a single funny joke in his entire career that wasn't written by some other guy. He's basically like, what if Amy Schumer had a show that was written by someone who was actually funny and then started doing the my vagina bullshit, right? That's literally like how like talentless and unfunny and how much like he just basically thrives purely off the success of other far more talented people that Jerry Seinfeld is. He's a sad fucking pathetic loser. But like that's kind of like how End Wokeness versus Stone Toss is. Stone Toss is funny as fuck, right? And wokeness is lame as shit. Like what was funny about there are only two genders, haha, blocked, right? What was that was blocked, right? So the joke isn't end wokeness. End wokeness didn't make a joke. End wokeness was a retard. But the funny was that people got mad that this guy's an unhinged retard. So you're not laughing with end wokeness in any of his jokes. Right? Like, he is completely humorless as a person. But you laugh at, like, the situations that happen around him. Right? That's not being funny. That's not being entertaining. I'm entertained by the stupid shit that happens around you, but you are not the stupid shit that I'm laughing at either. Right? I am not laughing at end wokeness or anything he posts at fucking all. There is not a single humorous bone in that retard's body. He could not make a fucking 3-year-old laugh with his own, with his jokes. That is how unfunny he is. He cannot even manage to make the most easy to humor people laugh. He is that fucking pathetic of a loser. He's just like Jerry Seinfeld or Amy Schumer or fucking James Corden, right? That's how unfunny and how much of a loser that piece of shit is. But Stone Toss is literally fucking lit as shit, right? And this is how you know. Are you laughing at what they say, or are you or show or whatever, or are you laughing at something completely separate from what they said? And this is the thing. End wokeness. If he didn't get the reaction he wanted, you know what would have happened? He would have gotten zero attention, and there would have been no laughs. Because he's not funny. He is incapable of being funny at all. He is not funny. He's a bad comedian. He's a failed fucking entertainer. If you have to rely on everyone else but you to be funny, you're not funny. Like, bearing is funny, but, you know, and part of it is the reaction, but a large part of it is just Bearing himself is genuinely funny, right? Bearing himself has a fun energy about him, right? And, like, the way he conducts himself. Jack Sobek doesn't. And this is why, like, I don't really like the whole, like, oh, like right-wingers are bringing comedy back, and then, like, these guys are, like, the comedy. But, like, the comedy isn't, like, actually funny on its own. Right? Like, what's funny about that? Like, if they didn't react the way he wanted to, what would be funny, right? So his actions aren't funny. It's the left's actions that are funny. So he's not funny. They are funny. Right? The left has more funny than he does in this situation. Like, if that's the case, like, you know, like, they're better comedians than him because they're making the joke funny. So this is why, like, I don't really like those kinds of guys. They aren't funny at all. Other people are funny for them. And I don't like that kind of crowd. Like, you know, like, you're just an unhinged fucking retarded loser at that point.
Warning. This profile has been flagged. Content blocked. Amazing. You're not allowed to say there's only 2 genders. I'm going to have to be really careful. Anyway, I'll leave it there. If you have any comments, leave them down below. Or at my Twitter, it's @bear_ing. Or at my Bluesky, it's theymtranssocialistretard.hugbox.bluesky or something. Alright, thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Ta-ta. Bye.
I honestly feel like he could actually bring some funny right-wing energy. Honestly, I feel like what you really don't realize, Bearing, is that guy is a fucking loser that no one likes because he's both unfunny and a racist. Like, you are racist, but you're actually fun, right? I actually enjoy your content, right? You know, I can enjoy a good racist now and then. I can't enjoy him because I can't laugh at him. What he says or what he does. I have to laugh at what other people do around him, which means he isn't the one that's funny. So if I'm gonna, like, do that, I might as well just do it myself, right? And this is the thing, like, if someone is that much of a pussy that they're cowering to that, then you know, like, they're funny because, like, like, you can do it too, right? I can do that then. And if that's what it is, if he's making a joke where the only funny part is something that I already do, because, you know, mocking spineless retards is extremely easy to do for laughs, then what it really comes down to is he's not funny. I'm probably funnier than him because I'll at least have a fun, like, entertaining bit whether they react or not. He is incapable of that, though. He has to always have people react negatively to have an air of any, like, ha-has, right? If you have to do that, you're just an unfunny loser. Like, that's how it is, right? Comedians aren't offensive and that's their comedy. Comedians are offensive because they tell things that other people won't. They push limits, right? That guy doesn't do that. That guy just is an unhinged loser. And that's really, like, what, like, it comes down to. If you're funny, some people will laugh because you said it rather than because of how people react. This guy could not ever get a laugh from that, though. And that's the thing to remember. Jack Sobek, if you ever watch this video, which I know you will because you're a fucking, like, you're a fucking unhinged, like, loser who, like, begs for attention. Like, Jack Sobek is literally just an attention whore. I mean, a lot of people are, but, like, you know, Jack Sobek is a worthless attention whore. You know, like, Bearing, me, and a lot of others are attention whores too. Like, you know, we're on YouTube. That's what attention whore is. But at least, like, we, you know, have some entertainment value. You know, just saying, just putting that out there, right? I don't have to be, like, a racist, unhinged, like, psychopath to get a laugh. That guy does, and you aren't laughing at him. So regardless, he's unfunny. Let's just acknowledge that. We can acknowledge that, can't we?
Bye-bye.
This might not get copyrighted. copyright struck. I don't fucking know if it's copyrighted or not, but whatever. But yeah, like that's Bering. He's a guy on the internet. And it's fun to watch. But yeah.